Hello everyone, welcome to my class. Today we are going to discuss about Kaufman scales, basically intelligence scale. This also has to be perceived in the line of history of development. But Kaufman scale is a little more recent in nature because they have worked with the Kaufman. He has worked with Wechsler, and based on some disagreement, he has developed his own scales. So there are some differences of opinion, and there are some differences of like in terms of the perception related to test, but these tests are also part of the historical milestone of intelligence testing. So when you look at these people, there are Kaufman, Alan Kaufman, and the Nadine Kaufman. These two people, Nadine is actually wife of Kaufman. So these two people developed this test. Kaufman actually worked with earlier. He has worked with Wechsler, and they have co-authored some papers also. And later, it was Whisk R revised, the second revision of Whisk, and then he married to Nadine. Then these two people together, they tried to develop this Kaufman intelligence test. So that's a historical part there at Georgia, University of Georgia. So that's a background, geographical background. One of the differences of opinion between this Wechsler and Kaufman intelligence test are basically Kaufman believed that intelligence test should be theoretically strong. It should be theoretically driven. When you look at the history of intelligence or theories of intelligence, you will find two spectrum there. One is based on psychometric properties, the other one is based on theoretical development. So he was more into a theoretical part of it. He believed that test has to be developed theoretically. That's a very interesting argument. Okay, so what he did is in his scale, basically the major scale he has developed was the Kaufman assessment battery for children, KABC. This scale, when he developed his first scale, he used this neuropsychological theory, which makes the first psychological intelligence theory test which is based on neuropsychological theories. So a test based on neuropsychological theory, the first intelligence test which was developed by Kaufman, and the test is KABC. And the neuropsychological theory specialization to sequential stimulus processing dichotomy. This sequential and simultaneous processing dichotomy they have used. So this is one theoretical model he has used, Luria's model, and some works in cognitive psychology also used in the development of the test. When it comes to second version of KABC, that is Kaufman assessment battery for children, second version, he has added another theory that's very interesting, because he has used this Kettle's Horn-Carroll model. Basically, you might have studied this, the idea like fluid intelligence, crystallized intelligence. These aspects were he brought that idea also to the picture. So that means the test is based on two theoretical models. One is Luria's the model, other one is the CHC model. So the interesting part is a person can decide which model can be is suitable for this particular the applicant, and he can decide which model will be appropriate, and scoring will be done accordingly. That's very interesting perspective, which is not common with other intelligence tests. Now, another interesting thing that they worked with is they focus on the process needed to solve a problem than the content. So content of the intelligence test was not very important for them. What they focused was, what are the cognitive activities required to solve a problem. So when a person get a good score in that particular scale, the argument will be the person will be good in this ability, second ability, third ability, like that. So what are the cognitive abilities? So underlying each activity that they have pointed out, that is more specific and more scholarly kind of work. So that's a kind of perspective of Kaufman. And when you look into all tests he has developed, these idea can be seen there. So we look into what are the tests he has developed. The major work, the currently most commonly used test of Kaufman. I'm not saying that this is the most frequently used test. Wechsler is the most frequently used test, but among Kaufman intelligence test, the most commonly used test is assessment battery for children. They have developed other tests also, okay, like educational achievement test. They have used other achievement, similar to that, cognitive abilities. These kind of tests also they have developed. But we are looking into this cognitive. We are focusing on the intelligence test here. So Kaufman assessment battery of children. This is one test that we have developed. The other one is Kaufman adult and adolescent and adult intelligence test, KAIT, KAIT. Then Kaufman brief intelligence test, KBIT, like that. So among them, this one, I think they have stopped it. I am trying to get more information about the recent developments of this KAIT, but not actually getting a good, development in this phase. Even when you look at the Pearson's website, Pearson is actually, they sell this tests, most of the intelligence tests are brought to the market by Pearson. So when I look into the Pearson website, I don't find much information related to this particular test, KAIT test, but I'm getting development related to KABC and even KBIT, that is brief intelligence test. Maybe because when you look at the brief intelligence test, they actually cover the adolescent and adult area. So that could be one reason that they are not updating this KAIT, or I'm not very sure that whether they have stopped working with the KAIT. And if anyone has a knowledge related to that, please update me too. So we'll start with the first one, Kaufman assessment battery for children, that's KABC. That ABC can be easy to remember, children and assessment battery for children, that is ABC, like that. So this the test helps to identify individual strength, weakness in cognitive ability and mental processing. Basically intelligence itself, but the term intelligence is not deliberately used there, but it is basically intelligence itself. So when you look at the versions, the first version 1983, second version comes in 2004, and third version, this is not third version, this is normative update. That's what happened in 2018. So the test, subtest, kit, everything is same. You will have an extra manual that can be used for scoring for different group, people who are differently abled, people with the different special abilities. So special category, though these normative update is made in 2018, so you will get extra file manual for these kind of scoring. Okay, more than that, there's no change in the kit. I mean, the test, everything is same. That's the latest thing I could find. I could not really find a KABC3 in the website. So the age range is 3 years to 18 years. So when you really look into the age, it's 18 years. So is it really a test for intelligence? It's still 18 years, okay. So obviously age of 3 can be considered here. And age-based standard scores are there in this test, because every group will not be assessed in all activities. As I said, this is a theoretically bound work. So they believe that children and adolescents and adult, they have different kind of cognitive development. For example, theoretically we understand that the frontal lobe area, these activities will be more more developed and appropriate to measure in the adolescence area or during the adult period. So some of the tests related to planning scale, these kind of things will not be given to the children, like third year children, fourth year children, fifth year children, like that. So that's why age based standard scores are there. So everyone will not be provided with all the test items as per Kaufman intelligence scale. And I said it's a theory based instrument. That's the strongest point for that, and examiner can select which would be appropriate. So generally like CHC is the, for the mainstream group, CHC is a well accepted model. CHC actually added in the second revision onwards, not in the first revision. Okay, so but for some marginal kind of minority, this kind of groups, Luria's model is also used for, I mean, and like that's a that's a would be more appropriate when you have a margin minority groups and all. So it is one of the advantage of this scale is this scale has considered special groups. Hope you remember the disadvantage of advantages of Wechsler scale. They are not addressing the the major issues with the differences in terms of abilities of the people, people with the motor difficulties. These kind of discriminations are not addressed, or these kind of differences are not addressed in Wechsler scale. But when it comes to Kaufman scale, they have considered these groups like people with the handicapped, then some kind of difficulty, motor issues, and problems in measuring intelligence when it is when the child has LD, learning disability, and people from linguistic and cultural minorities, etc. These groups are considered in the assessment. That means provisions are made where the influence of these things can be managed. So when you look at the subsets here, 18 subsets are there, including both the complement core and supplementary test. Now when you look at the there are, as I said, there are two models. One is Luria's model, another is CHC model. So this is more like a crystallized fluid kind of intelligence, that reasoning, that pattern. So when you look into the Luria's model, there are basically four scales. One is sequential processing and simultaneous processing, that dichotomy that we discussed, and learning ability, that's one part, planning ability another one. So four scales are there. When you look at the CHC model, short-term memory is there, visual processing is there, long-term storage and retrieval, fluid reasoning, crystallized ability. These are the perspective scales that we get in CHC model. So this decision will be made before the administration of the test, and scoring will be done accordingly. Now when you compare with the WISC, that is Wechsler scale, why did I compare with the WISC? Because he has developed this test as an alternative to Wechsler intelligence scale. He was not in agreement with Wechsler in terms of perspectives related to intelligence and testing of intelligence. So some of the cognitive activities for simultaneous processing scale, so you will find this here, simultaneous processing scale. So the scale, it says that Wechsler's performance scale, there are verbal and non-verbal tests. See, in Wechsler, that's performance scale, non-verbal. So the cognitive requirements were found to be similar as the simultaneous processing scale. So there are a lot of similarities there, and it's actually more than that. So two simultaneous tests like metrics analogy and photo series involve more reasoning, like including visual reasoning and visual processing ability. These kind of things are also included in that. So we can maybe argue that it's measuring much more comprehensive picture of abilities compared to the WISC as per the scholars. Now the sequential processing scale measures much efficient way compared to Wechsler subset. Okay, so that's another I would say advantage compared to Wechsler. Now other one is achievement. There's another scale in KABC, which is we can find that in the first version majorly, that is global achievement scale. So this scale is actually found to be highly related to Wechsler's verbal IQ and crystallized abilities. That's another interesting element. So it's basically the scholars argue that the Kaufman scale is covering WISC, major areas of WISC, and it gives you some additional information too. That's a good thing about Kaufman scale. Uh, one more thing I want to add in this point is the Wechsler scales are also, when you look at the latest versions of it, that's also coming to the classification of the crystallized and fluid intelligence. So we find some kind of interconnection in the latest version of the Wechsler and the Kaufman scale. And this scale found to be useful for the facilitation of clinical decision making and planning, then education planning, treatment planning, placement decisions, like that. So this scale is very commonly used in this context. Then the next test, Kaufman adolescents and adult intelligence test, KAIT, KAIT, like that. So we find one, I could find only one version of it, that 1993 version of it. After that, I didn't really find a update or revision or K2. And some of the websites say that the publishers have informed them that they have stopped printing of this test. I don't know why. I guess they are stopping this test. We'll see one possible reason in the next when you discuss the brief intelligence test. So this is not an extension of KABC. Why? KABC was a children test, right? So when it comes to adolescent and adult intelligence test, generally people believe that that's an extension of this test, ABC test, but it is not an extension of an ABC test. This is majorly work with the CHC model, that is fluid and crystallized intelligence models, and it's little more latest also, 1993 compared to the origin of the first version of the KABC, which was in 1983. So after 10 years they have developed it. So definitely there would be differences in terms of its like theoretical applications. And why it is not an extension of KBC? The primary reason is the cognitive development of children and adolescents could be different. So they included more activities related to the frontal lobe in the KAIT test compared to KABC test. The scale has had good psychometric properties, including reliability, validity, constructive validity, divergent validity, and concurrent validity. So this tend to be psychometrically very strong test, and it also has a very strong theoretical base. So it is applicable for all Kaufman test intelligence scales because they are theoretically strong. So when you look at the scores, you will find crystallized scale, fluid intelligence scale. These are the tests for crystallized intelligence scale: definitions, auditory comprehension, double meaning, like that. These are the tests. Fluid is more like rebus learning. The tests are like logical steps and mystery codes, like that. And these two will give you the composites intelligence scores, like that. Then that's a core battery. Now expanded battery, that's another part. When you add more tests, the core battery has six sets, subsets, subtest. Now when it comes to the expanded battery, another tests are also added here, which is 7th one is rebus delayed recall, 8th is auditory delayed recall, famous faces, memory for block designs, like that. 4 more added in this context. So these measures of delayed recall, that's how this expanded battery 2 items are called, 2 subtests are named, like that. So there are you will get a score for crystallized intelligence, you will get a score for fluid reasoning, and you will get a composite score, and you have some alternatives, and you will have the expanded battery scores also, measures of delayed recall test battery scores also you get in the KAIT test. So that's about KAIT test. Now comes the third one, Kaufman brief intelligence test. So the first version KBIT in 1990, recent, right? Now coming to the second edition in 2004, KBIT 2. Now there's a revision for KBIT 2, which is in 2022. We don't have much information about this test because we don't find this in the textbooks. So I was going through the material given by Pearson to understand more about it. So I realized that more or less same, some data, normative data is updated. So 2021 data are used for this, and much more some changes, very few minimal changes in the test, and almost the test seems to be similar. And the age is 4 to 90 years. See that, this is why I said, why should they update the K test if this test can be used for both children and adults? So that could be one reason they stopped using that test. And see the advantage here, it's a 20 minutes test. Obviously it's a brief test, so it's a 20-minute test. So you'll get 3 sub tests here: verbal knowledge, metrics, and riddles. And based on this, you will get crystallized scores, fluid scores, composite IQ, and the result scoring you will get in the common Wechsler pattern, that is deviation IQ pattern, that is mean as 100, standard deviation as 15, and it's a age based percentile rank scores also will get. So that's a Kaufman brief intelligence scale. So there are different these 3 scales are developed by Kaufman, and I think maybe a newer version of KATE may come, but currently the version is a newer version of KATE is not available. I guess the version of KATE itself is not available. Now coming to the conclusion part, KATE is strongly theoretically based test, and the KATE is also tested rigorously. I won't say that this scale is more popular than Wechsler, but this scale both theoretically and statistically stronger compared to Wechsler, and I guess it is gaining its popularity. So that's about Kauf intelligence test, and we'll discuss other tests in the other classes. Bye.